Oh, I feel brave today, guys. What I've done, or I'm in the process of doing, is privatizing all of my YouTube, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle. It's weird because I've been building up Toddle Poddle, which is our kids brand, over the last couple of months, and I hit over 1 million views actually. And then I did some research and found out that 90% of the revenue that you can earn on YouTube, that's the share of the ad revenue, is earned by the top 3%. And even with my over 1 million views, I was nowhere near that top 3%. And I just thought, do you know what? I'm wasting my time here. And the other thing which I thought was really interesting was that the top earners can only earn about, or do only earn about, the maximum of 17 grand a year, 17,000 GBP. So they all have other jobs as well. And I just thought, God, where do you get the time for that? Really? So I've moving everything across to Lounges TV, which is a pay-per-view. So if you want to watch a video, you just pay £1. Not the podcasts, obviously. The podcasts are going to be available on my website, of course, and on, iTunes and all of these other places. But you see, I get ad revenue for those already. So why am I even thinking about YouTube? But I just thought I should just share a bit of insider knowledge with you. Now, there are 3 options when you upload a video, and you can change these options at any time throughout while your video is being hosted on YouTube. So you can have public, you can have unlisted, or you can have private. Now, private is only you can access it. Your staff can't access it unless you've given them managerial rights on your channel. The public can't access it. No one can access it. It's just a door closed, right? So that's private. That does mean that you can't embed it anywhere. And I think you have to give permission to share it. So you can share it, but you have to stipulate that only certain people with certain emails are allowed to watch it. Okay. So it's really good if you're doing, well, obviously if you're doing private stuff, but also if you're doing a pilot and you just want a few people to look at it or something like that. Now, this unlisted one, this is a bit of a grey area. Now, when you've got unlisted, you can embed into your site because basically anyone with a link can view it, right? But the problem is, the problem with that is it's unlisted, but it's not private. So if somebody has that link, people can share that link. Do you see what I'm saying? So I've gone for that route at the moment, just because I've got some video playlists actually on my website, and I didn't want to cause any dysfunction. If you suddenly make a load of videos private, all that's going to come up on your website when you've shared the playlist, because you can do it automatically on a lot of things, and you shared the playlist, are these sort of blank screens saying you do not have permission. It's ghastly. We don't want that. So I thought, while I'm transitioning to Lounges TV, that's what I'm going to do. I'm a bit on the fence about how I feel about, suddenly not getting any views. But the thing is, YouTube, the algorithm, it seems to have a mind of its own. We all know that, don't we? And for most of my channels on YouTube, I'm getting like 20 or 30 views a day. It's a ridiculous amount. I may as well make everything pay-per-view. So that's what I'm doing. So I feel quite... I think this stage of your business, when you're built up enough that you've got a good enough following to generate interest, and people have started searching for you online and things like that, but you're not a big earner yet, I think that's a difficult transition, especially for a musician or someone in the creative arts. So painting, drawing, filmmaking. And I mean, I'm doing animation and music. Where do you get traction, without advertising? I'm not going to advertise. I don't have an advertising budget at this particular moment in time. But what I will probably have to do is think of ways that I can get free promotion, whether that's, something horrendous like Instagram or I mean, I don't think Instagram really works for filmmakers and artists. I think Instagram, like Facebook, works for a product. So, this is a bit of a learning curve. But the thing is, when people put in any of my music, when they search it online, they get directed to YouTube, where I'm not making any money. Do you see what I mean? So what's the point in having a YouTube? So I've been really, now I see that circle thing going around, updating videos as they're all being privatized. And let me see how many I've got. Well, there's about 10,000. So yeah, I'm going to be sitting here for quite a long time. I thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to relax today, and I'm just going to have coffee and ponder my future on Lounges TV. But the other thing is with the podcast, because I put all the podcasts on YouTube, right? The one good thing about that was it turned everything into a video, which means I can stream them on my site, directly on my site. That works really well. But the other thing is the podcasts are all coming up on YouTube and not on my Spreaker accounts or my iTunes accounts, where they pay me revenue. They pay me ad revenue. It's very small, but nonetheless, it is ad revenue. Do you see what I'm saying? So I was just thinking, well, why am I doing that? That's really bad. So you find if you're spreading yourself around all these different places, actually what you're doing is you're spreading yourself really thin, and you're probably not getting the earnings that you deserve. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, podcasts are going to be free anyway, always, because I work on an ad revenue model for those. But the videos, which they take days to make. And I was just looking at some of my footage from 12, 15 years ago, and thinking, this footage is really exciting. Sometimes the sound quality is quite poor, so I was thinking, well, I could put these videos to music, thousands and thousands of hours of video. So I'm going to go right back to the beginning. I did a series called Bike, which was about a bicycle that was washed up from France. And it sort of has a brain. Nuts. What a nuts idea. And it was going around Brighton, and then it got stoned at a party. And I just thought, do you know what? That's really such a nice story. And I can revamp that now. I can improve the footage, which was just done on a cheap camera. Not a phone camera, but it was a very cheap sort of, like a Canon thing. Like a personal camera. Canon, those ones. I mean, you don't need those anymore, do we? My phone is a wonderful filmmaker in its own right. I've got the Galaxy 24. So yeah, I do feel very as if I've reached a part of my business and career phase that I have to be really brave about, and I have to withdraw, because this full-time job that is YouTube is using up. It's in competition with my other sites earning money, and it's using up all of my energy, even just from checking it every morning and checking it every night, and sometimes in the middle of the day to see how my views are going. That's crazy. That's an addiction. That's what that's what the algorithm depends on. It wants to get you addicted, and it's learnt very easily that that human beings are creatures of habit, and they want to be popular, desperately want to be popular. So yeah, and I think the news that so many children now say to their parents, I want to be a full-time YouTuber when I grow up. I mean, this is sort of older teens, not 5-year-olds. Really disappointed me, and I thought, it's almost like, is that what I'm doing? It is in a way, isn't it? And this idea that you can only earn 17 grand, you might as well go and stack shelves in Morrison's or Aldi or somewhere. I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure how much they pay, but I doubt it's much less than that. And you wouldn't have to work half the amount of time that you have to work when you're a content creator, whether it's TikTok or YouTube, whatever it is. So I find that all really a bit of an epiphany, I think, yesterday. I just thought, really? I've become a victim. I think I said in my podcast yesterday, I've become a victim of the machine. And I write stories about the machine, and I didn't see it coming. And of course, it has come. Now, the good thing about having all of my podcasts, and there are thousands of them, on YouTube, because my streaming site automatically uploads them, is that if the podcast streaming site that I work with ever closes me down again, and I've had 3 podcasts closed down for music, basically, for making music. They hate me making music. And also I had another one closed down because I went catastrophic views from India, and they were suspicious about them. So I've had many podcasts just closed down. They don't give you any explanation. They just say, no, you've done something wrong, whatever. They don't always know what it is you've done wrong, but they just delete you anyway. And fortunately, all of the videos I've done in the last 5 or 6 years are on YouTube. So, because they were automated. So, the talking hasn't been a complete waste of time. And I always did these podcasts anyway, from year dot, as a diary, as a diary of my life, so that I wouldn't forget, so that when I was an old lady, which I practically am now, I could go and re-listen. I mean, the irony is I don't ever want to listen to any of them. I don't like listening to them, for various reasons. But they are there, which means, in 20 or 30 years, they will probably be really good archive material. And I can probably get good money for them, in 50 years. And then my kids, because it'll all be there. Well, this is fantastic, isn't it? This is absolutely marvellous because, I created records and capsules of historic, personal life, not public life. I wasn't. I mean, there was obviously there's the odd mention, like we've got an election today and I've got to go and vote, stuff like that. But I'm not talking about politics per se, and I'm talking about a very female existence. And I do think I've always believed, I think that's really interesting. I think people will want to know. They will want to know. Who cares about Biden who's got dementia, God, I can't bear to watch that man. I mean, he looks like he's been pickled in vinegar and they've stuffed him. And they've just put him up, and he's got some ventriloquist machine in him. Somebody's operating him by remote control, and it keeps going wrong. That's what it looks like when he forgets his words and stuff. It's horrific to watch, isn't it? Absolutely bloody horrific. Anyway, I'm taking Mum so she can vote, and we're going to the shops, and we're doing lots of things today. And I will no longer be a YouTuber. Ooh. Didn't think I'd say that quite so soon. I actually thought I was going to go hell for leather with Toddle Poddle. So Toddle Poddle is moving. I'm just updating another channel, so I haven't uploaded Toddle Poddle yet. So if you want to go and listen to Toddle Poddle while they're all up there, otherwise you'll have to go to my website, and it's all, there's loads of stuff on there from Toddle Poddle, loads of free stuff. So you don't have to pay there. Okay, guys, have a great day. And if you're from the UK, happy voting day. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely still don't know who I'm going to vote for. I mean, it's ridiculous. I absolutely have no idea. I'm going to leave it on a whim once I walk through the door. And I'll look at the candidates and I'll see what I think at that point. But, God, well, I'm glad I'm not American and I don't have to decide their one. Because I'd be equally flummoxed, if I'm honest. Tellteller.club for everything, iServalan.com and well, pretty soon you'll be able to Google me and you'll go straight to my website. Actually, I think you can today.